Welcome back, YouTubers, to our WrestleMania 21 review, where WrestleMania goes Hollywood. What the fuck was all that about, NJ?
I don't know, I was just saying it was 21 and that was the DVD.
Yeah, they're trying to go big time, aren't they, on the Hollywood there? But anyway, I'm Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me is NJ.
What's up?
And we are the British Fist.
Jay!
Here for another WrestleMania review for our WrestleMania review series. Guys, subscribe above if you want to see more of these. Like this video and get your thoughts on this WrestleMania 21 down in that comment section below.
And make sure you contact us in the link in the description box below.
Yeah, you might want to move that on. So WrestleMania 21 goes Hollywood. This was essentially WWE starting what would be probably not a new era, but launching their next set of stars. And we'll get more onto that as we get into the main events and some of the matches. But we had no Intercontinental tag match. We had no Intercontinental match, no US title match, and no tag title match. The IC belt was in the Money in the Bank. The US title was on Orlando Jordan. He wasn't on the card. The tag titles were kind of being in the opening match, weren't they?
The thing about that is, with the past WrestleManias we've reviewed, there's always been a tag match. So there's always been that one defense, something to look forward to. So for the belts to be cut down a bit, it's a bit of a shame. But at the same time, the champs who are not defending their titles are involved in matches, so it still gets them on the card.
I mean, Eddie and Ray were in the opener. Shawn Benjamin was the Intercontinental Champion in the Money in the Bank. We'll go on to the opener now, I guess. I don't think it hurt the card too much, though. The undercard was very good on this WrestleMania. We started off with Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Both these guys were tag champs, and the whole story behind this was that Eddie wanted to prove that he was better than Rey Mysterio. Generally, when you put these two guys in the ring, it's a pretty good match, and the crowd were pretty hot for this. A good opener, in my opinion.
Well, with wrestlers like Eddie Guerrero, who, as we've seen in past WrestleManias, became a champion, and then he comes into a rivalry with Rey Mysterio. It was good two people to put together because obviously we've seen in past matches they can both work well. Rey Mysterio is getting more involved in the higher scenes now than what he was. So this match did great for both of them. Yeah,
this match told a very good story. Rey Mysterio won with the Hurricane Rana. Eddie Guerrero just couldn't quite beat Rey Mysterio. And it's funny, really, because later on in the year we had Eddie Guerrero's death, which is very unfortunate. But then again, Rey Mysterio came along at WrestleMania 22 and sort of fulfilled the legacy of Eddie Guerrero in winning that title match. And it's funny how Rey Mysterio went over Eddie Guerrero here, when usually I'd expect Eddie to go over Rey.
It would have made sense to have someone who's doing great in the past WrestleManias and years to have a win over Rey Mysterio. But again, this is Rey Mysterio becoming a main event, a huge deal for the WWE, so it was a good move for him.
Indeed. So a very good opening in my opinion. They continued the feud afterwards. Eddie Guerrero turned heel, and they had that great ladder match at SummerSlam 2005. Do you remember that one?
Oh, very good match indeed.
Yeah, we remember reviewing that one, a good ladder match. So a good opener in our opinions of this one, a very fast-paced opener, which told a good story. Then we get the Money in the Bank match. Now this was Chris Jericho's idea. It was a very fresh concept in the WWE at the time. This was the first time we saw it. The Money in the Bank ladder match, as we know now, is one where you get the Money in the Bank and you can cash it in whenever you like. At the time, it was a fresh concept, and you had the involvement of the ladders. This was something new at WrestleMania, and it was very fresh. And I must admit, when we went back and watched it, it was very enjoyable to watch.
Because the thing is, the main thing, as it's their first one, it has to be good. It has to work. And the choice of wrestlers,
very good.
I think they were really good. Obviously, they're all stars. They're all people who have done big things in their career, and they're at a point now where they are going for the gold.
Yeah, I mean, you had Chris Jericho, an established main eventer. Benoit won the championship last year. Shawn Benjamin was an up-and-comer. Kane, obviously, a great wrestler. Christian and Edge. Edge would eventually win this match. This went about 15 minutes. It was a very entertaining match. I like, some of the spots in this are very good. When you have 6 of these guys in the match, you can always get a fast pace and keep it going. And, this was, very good. I really enjoyed this Money in the Bank. It was something fresh and new at WrestleMania. It gave us a new #1 contender. It made new stars. I mean, we saw Edge won it, and he became a great star for the WWE after this.
That's true. When it comes to, like, ladder matches, table matches, whatever match, there are going to be good spots. And I think Money in the Bank are always going to be well known for the spots they have. And with this one being the first one, this is going to be remembered as a good Money in the Bank match. And you had Edge, I think, the right winner out of all of them, because it did a great big push for him, and he was a guy that had been through a lot in his career to get to this point.
Yeah, this would start a WrestleMania tradition up until 2010, where the Money in the Bank ladder match would just be at WrestleMania. And this really gave WrestleMania a special feel. And, it was a match that you could always guarantee some goodness out of, especially seeing as you got ladders in there. Usually you have guys in there that could work these kind of matches. So this is one of those things that in WrestleMania was usually very entertaining, just because of the ladder concept and the spots and the people that are usually in them. But Edge winning, he would cash the Money in the Bank in at New Year's Resolution in Elimination Chamber on a Mr. Juan Cena. and become one of the biggest stars in WWE since till then.
So I think the WWE did a great choice having this faith in Edge to go all the way to become the champion.
Yes, so a very good Money in the Bank match in our opinion, and a very good start to the show. We then get a promo segment. Very unusual to have promo segments during WrestleMania. We had Eugene, coming to the ring, talking about how great it was to be at WrestleMania, and then what a great way to get this guy on the card. Muhammad Hassan and Daivari, two what were at the time pretty good heels in the company just because of their characters. Talking about why are we excluded from WrestleMania and everything. They attack Eugene, and then we get the emergence of a certain icon who wasn't on this card but managed to get on there somehow, NJ.
Well, with that, first let me say about Eugene. Again, when it comes to WrestleMania, you don't really expect Eugene to have an involvement in it. So for him to get this segment to bring out Daivari and Hassan, and then the legendary Hogan, it flowed, it made this part of WrestleMania work, and it got Hogan to do something big for this WrestleMania.
I mean, the crowd reaction speaks for itself, doesn't it? Hogan comes out, the crowd goes nuts. He goes mental on the two, on Daivari and Hassan, and eventually clears the ring. So this is a very entertaining segment. But then you have that tag match with Backlash with Michaels and Hogan facing Daivari and Muhammad Hassan, which would later culminate in their match at SummerSlam. So this led to something very good, didn't it?
Again, at first you're thinking Hogan maybe a finish now, but it comes to this, and he's still having the crowd wild and a big spot for this WrestleMania. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, that year Hulk Hogan was in the Hall of Fame. I just want to quip here. I just want to say the 2005 Hall of Fame was a very incredibly strong Hall of Fame. We had Cowboy Bob Orton, who was involved in the next match, Nikolai Volkov, the Iron Sheik, Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful himself, Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, Roddy Piper, who would be involved in the next one, and Hulk Hogan himself. So I think a very strong Hall of Fame there. Just thought I'd get that in. An entertaining segment.
Well, we don't normally talk about the Hall of Fame. With this one, as soon as we saw the wrestlers that were involved, we just thought, again, because they also get involved in this show, some of the wrestlers, we thought it would be a perfect time to mention how great the card was for this year's Hall of Fame.
Or the 2005 Hall of Fame. Yeah. The Undertaker versus Randy Orton. Legend versus Legend Killer. Randy Orton at the time was this, up-and-coming heel, arrogant heel, going up against the Legend, the ultimate Legend, so apart from maybe Hulk Hogan, the ultimate Legend in Undertaker at WrestleMania trying to break the streak. God, I love this match.
Because the thing I like about this match is before the match, you get the video package of him taking all these different legends and building his way up to the biggest one that the WWE had, which is The Undertaker. And for him to want this match by taking out Take on SmackDowns and that building up to this, it was very nicely done, and a match that obviously was going to be a big push for Randy Orton.
Exactly, and you raised a very, very good point there. You had the whole Legend Killer gimmick was very good, wasn't it? A very good way to propel on, especially from 2004 when they kind of dropped the ball with him a little bit, in my opinion. Just saying there, they probably should have pushed Batista there, but there we go. I was very surprised this was third on the card. I thought with Undertaker being there and Orton being there, it might be pushed a bit higher up the card. That is just nitpicking, though. These two had a good match. Good storytelling in this match. You had Bob Orton coming in, interfering. You had that choke slam to RKO spot, which was really good. And like you said earlier, a match like this, when you go against Undertaker, this is what WWE should do with young guys. Put these young guys against Undertaker, because it helps cement them as big players. And you saw, Orton has become a big player ever since then, hasn't he?
Because the thing about this match, again, Orton can now say he's had a WrestleMania match against Taker, and it was going to be one that obviously is going to go down in history as a great match. So I'm thinking with this match, again, maybe not in the right place in the card like Dan said, but overall the match did exactly what it needed to, and it's pushed Orton the way it should.
Exactly, or later on at SummerSlam 2005, Orton would beat Undertaker. So, you got Taker, not Taker's continuing his streak, but also putting him over at SummerSlam, which is the right move, especially when you've got a future star in Orton.
And the fact they continued a feud after WrestleMania is just showing the importance of how the WWE wanted to build up Orton.
They did it with a few of these matches, actually. We'll mention those. The Women's Championship match, Trish Stratus versus Chrissy Hem. Goddamn, this match was, well, basically Trish had to carry Chrissy Hem because she wasn't really a very good wrestler, was she? A very good Playboy cover girl. We had Lita out there, and I kind of wished it was Lita versus Trish, but we kind of got, it was just Trish carried her to a probably better match than she probably deserved to be in, to be honest.
I guess it's given other divas a chance to be involved in big matches against big divas. But the only problem is that obviously the match didn't go on as
4 or 5 minutes.
So it weren't the longest matches. But with this match, obviously Chrissy Hem could obviously lasted a longer match, so she did what she could, and the match was okay.
Meh, wasn't it really? Meh. Trish Stratus wins. That's really all we can say. She keeps the Women's Championship. Next match though, this was a good match. Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle. Now remember, this was built from the Royal Rumble. You had them both eliminating each other from the Royal Rumble. And this rivalry was based on Angle's hatred for Michaels being considered the best wrestler of all time because Angle thought he was the best wrestler of all time. And he may have a case there. But goddamn, this had some really good build. This actually would happen later on in the year as well at a pay-per-view. But this, goddamn, Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle. Do you think it was a good match or not? This was a fucking great match. You got 27.5 minutes. What do you expect from these two?
For this to be where it was in the card, it was the big draw. Obviously, the match we've had, it built up to this. And this is the match that, obviously, because of it happened at the Rumble and it drew on to WrestleMania, it was a match that people wanted to see actually happen. And obviously, it's got both two big wrestlers in. And the match itself, I'm going to say it went really well. Great spots. You had the ankle lock. You had the sweet music. There's a lot going on that kept these two wrestlers. Either way could have won. But again, overall, it led up to a great finish.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt Angle gets the victory. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who won this match because they went out with 27.5 minutes and told a great story. Had a great match right in the middle of the card. It was the best match of the night, in my opinion, just wrestling-wise. You know, you had Angle consistently working on the back. You had good psychology there. You know, Angle wins with the ankle lock. It took him like 2 minutes to make Shawn Michaels tap. You know, this was a great match. Just one of those really good matches, kind of similar to, you know, Shawn Michaels and Jericho at WrestleMania 19. One of those matches you want to have in the middle of the card, just between two guys going out there and just, you know, trying to entertain the crowd as much as they can.
That's true. We say that Undertaker is the one that makes WrestleMania as big as it is, but with Shawn Michaels being involved, he can put people over. He can make matches a big draw and entertaining. So, again, I agree. Shawn Michaels made this part of WrestleMania big.
Did well. Kurt Angle did his job as well. Let's not take that away from him. But did Shawn Michaels ever have a bad match at WrestleMania? I mean, at 19 he was against Jericho, great match. 20 in that triple threat main event. This one he's against Angle. 22 he's against Vince McMahon. 23 he's against John Cena. 24 he's against Ric Flair. 25 he's against Taker. 26 he's against Taker. Yeah, he had so many great matches, didn't he? And really, WWE really do miss him. This is just another one. It was just a performance for Shawn Michaels because he was just so great at WrestleMania, along with Angle. Just a great match.
So I'm going to agree. This match, again, the way WWE made this match happen, I'm going to give it a big thumbs up and just say, well done, WWE, for giving us this match. And
they had another match at Vengeance, which lasted half an hour. And you also had that Hell in a Cell between Triple H and Batista at Vengeance as well. So they continued a lot of things from this. After this, we had Piper's Pit. You know, again, not usually get promo segments there, but Roddy Piper was in the Hall of Fame. We had a Piper's Pit. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Basically, he calls out Austin. So you got the baddest SOB on the planet versus the meanest SOB on the planet. Those two had a really, really quite interesting little segment together, didn't they?
Well, at the minute, first when I saw this, I just thought, again, when you're bringing Roddy Piper in, you're normally hyping up a wrestler that's already in the WWE to give them the push or a direction in the WWE. To bring Austin, though, another legend on WrestleMania, so it was a highlight in that. And I was thinking the way they spoke to each other and really respect each other for what it sounded like, I think they really did this segment good.
They worked the crowd very well, didn't they? You had the whole what chance, and Roddy Piper was saying, yeah, you got that right. You know, they were working the crowd really well, especially Roddy Piper. So that interaction was really good. But then we had the Carlito come into the ring, and Carlito comes to the ring. So I guess this was a way to get Carlito on the card involved in some kind of segment because they probably were going to do something with him. He basically attacks Roddy Piper, then gets a stunner from Austin. You had Piper spitting the apple in his face as well. I mean, overall, it was a quite entertaining segment. Carlito did kind of bring it down for me, but it was a way of getting a current wrestler on the card. I can understand that.
Well, the way I see this is that the segment with just Austin and Roddy Piper was going perfectly. It was giving the fans what they wanted to hear. Yeah. Carlito, I think, was just a throw-in thing, which, in my opinion, it didn't help the segment. The fans were loving it without him, and him just coming in. Yes, it gave Austin a chance to do a stone because he wasn't really going to go off
wrestle.
No, so again, minus Carlito, very good segment.
Just a quick question: what did you think of the whole Hogan segment and the Piper's Pit segment being put into the WrestleMania card? Do you think it was deserved, or do you think they probably should have put a match in there, or do you think it helped the show? What do you still want your thoughts on this?
Well, my thoughts are, at first, I'm thinking with some of the case like Austin and Hogan are basically finished now, and I'm thinking concentrate maybe on the, especially with the Piper's Pit, concentrate on wrestlers you've got at the moment to build them up. But I will say this, for Hogan and Austin to appear at a big pay-per-view like this, where the fans there are waiting to see big legends and stuff happen, it definitely did great for the show.
Yeah, it's just a shame this next segment didn't. Big Show versus Akabona in a sumo match. What can we say about this? Was this just as bad as the Brawl for All from WrestleMania 15? It was terrible, wasn't it? Big Show
in pants
in a nappy. It
and
just sucks. Should we just move on? This sucks. This segment was stupid. The two main events we got of the night were the two were the two main events that were essentially going to create two new stars for WWE. The first match, we had JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, who came out in a lovely limo, police escort, versus the one and only John Cena. So for you, NJ, this is the start of John Cena being a main event champion, so I guess you didn't like this match.
Well, the thing I like about this match is that my opinion is that JBL is this big, great heel, and I think he's the best person in some cases to put people over.
He had a 10-month title reign before this.
Well, that helps as well. Yeah. So I'm thinking the fact they used JBL to go against John Cena was again, not many people like JBL, but it was the right guy because of how he'll be built up and how he's the champ to put over someone like John Cena. So I give that thumbs up.
And you raised that good interest point. He was the right person to put over John Cena. He was the monster heel on SmackDown for 10 months. And if you want to get a new babyface over like John Cena, that's the kind of thing you do. You have a guy like JBL, put him over after a long title reign. You're essentially toppling a 10-month title reign, which helps you get over a bit more, which is why I feel at this year's WrestleMania, Sheamus versus a Mark Henry who wasn't injured would have got Sheamus over very well, but we'll leave that for the review on this year's WrestleMania. But I mean, it wasn't a good match, but it did its job. It got John Cena over as a babyface, as the new babyface star on SmackDown at the time. So I can't complain too much about it. It's just the match wasn't very good, but it still did its job.
Well, in my opinion, as it was John Cena coming into the top picture for a first match, maybe it weren't going to be the greatest, but again, like you said, JBL did the right thing by putting John Cena over, giving him his first championship, and it's going to be John Cena's first big title win at WrestleMania, so I think it was nicely done there. And
John Cena was second in the Royal Rumble. He got the title shot, so this was essentially the first star you had winning the championship that would sort of launch you into that new era with the two main babyfaces being John Cena and Batista.
Especially I'm giving you praise, John Cena. I still flipping hate you, and this it doesn't get better from here for you.
Well, to be honest with you, your boy's in the next match, so should we go into the next match?
Oh, yeah!
Triple H versus Batista in the main event. The World Heavyweight Championship match. Batista, of course, won the Royal Rumble, and we had the whole story with this being that Batista didn't like playing second fiddle to Triple H, and it essentially led to the end of Evolution. But to be honest with you, that faction did its job of getting two new stars in there, so that was a good thing about it. You had Batista's rise as the top babyface on WWE, breaking away from Evolution, and this match really, even though it wasn't the best match, it still did it, didn't it? It still made him that top babyface by giving him that win over Triple H, an established star.
Well, with this match, again, Triple H obviously was saying how he created Evolution, and he made Batista and Randy Orton who they are.
Yep.
And this match was clearly Batista wanted to branch on his own now, and using Triple H, his mentor, his guy who was in a faction with, was the right person to do it. And the way they fought, you could actually see that Batista was this tough guy now, and he was able to survive on his own. So I'm going to give, even though Triple H eventually went on to lose, he did the right thing, and it was a strong match.
Yeah, and then had that great match, that great Hell in a Cell match of Vengeance as well, which we really enjoyed the hell out of. But I mean, this essentially, like we said, put Batista over as the top babyface on Raw. I remember that whole segment where you had the two contracts. He was deciding whether to sign for Raw or SmackDown, and they were encouraging him to go to SmackDown. That was hilarious stuff. But I mean, the match wasn't good. The match was okay. It wasn't the greatest WrestleMania main event, but it established Batista as a new top babyface, and that is what the two main events did. They were both a bit underwhelming, but they established the next two top stars for WWE going into 2005 and plus.
Well, with the main event, the right guys put the right people over. JBL putting Cena over, and Triple H putting Batista over. So in a way, even though the match might not have been the best, they still had the right people doing the right job.
Yep. I guess that's really all we got to say about that, isn't it? Two new stars made from that main event scene.
Well, with the main event, obviously Triple H ended up pouring with blood, and Batista was there. I don't need blood. I just battered your ass. And again, it was a bit of a shame to see Batista with no blood. But overall, again, it shows Batista's strength. It showed John Cena's strength in the match with JBL. Yeah. So the main events did exactly what they needed to. We've got two stars who went on and had good careers.
Yep, exactly. It's just a shame Batista had to leave in 2010, but that's just what happens when some people get too big for WWE, I guess. There we go. So overall thoughts on this show. I'll let you go first, NJ. What did you think about this show?
Well, again, going into this WrestleMania, I didn't see much fault with it. Obviously, the Divas, we always complain about them even now. But the rest of the card, good. We had the Money in the Bank there, which led on to big things. Every match eventually led to something big afterwards, which is what WrestleMania should do, because obviously it's the start of a new WWE year.
Which is why it's such an iconic WrestleMania in the sense that it did launch a new era for WWE and the new stars and stuff.
Very true. The two main events did exactly what they needed to. We've got the two new main eventers and two new champions leading into future pay-per-view. So thumbs up to that.
I mean, to me, if you want my thoughts, it was a very good WrestleMania. You had the opener was very good. The Money in the Bank was very good. The two segments that you had with Piper's Pit and Hogan did add to the show somewhat. Undertaker and Orton was a good match. Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels was a fantastic match. The Big Show Akabono stuff was stupid. The two main events under-delivered, but they did what they were supposed to do, and that was get two new baby faces on the Raw and SmackDown brand. And the women's match wasn't really very good. But, I mean, overall, this was an iconic WrestleMania in the sense that it did make those two new stars. You had Orton in there, the rise of Edge. You had people like that. And Rey Mysterio as well, let's not forget. So, an iconic WrestleMania in that sense that it did sort of lead to the new era in WWE at the time, going away from that ruthless aggression era that we had. The undercard was very good. The main events didn't deliver, but they still did their job. I think for me, this is a B+ show, in my opinion. It was a good WrestleMania, don't get me wrong.
I could give it a B towards a B+, just because I felt that the main events, as much as they were then, did the right thing, they weren't like the most amazing in
they were underwhelming, weren't they?
Yeah, so I'll give it a B, almost a B+.
Yeah. The WrestleMania 21 is definitely an iconic WrestleMania in the sense that the two main events just made the two new stars, and that was what, like WrestleMania 14 made Austin, WrestleMania 3 made Hogan. You can draw comparisons to that, just very underwhelming main events, but the undercard really did deliver. It was a good WrestleMania in my opinion. Thinking overall and thinking about the overall picture and the historical significance.
And the main thing about this, it was in Hollywood, a big place to have a WrestleMania, but the other thing is, leaving WrestleMania, it gave us new stars and new main eventers, so this WrestleMania had a lot going for it, which helped the WWE progress after this.
Indeed. So that's our thoughts on WrestleMania 21, guys. Make sure you leave your thoughts on this somewhat iconic, some would say iconic WrestleMania, down in that comment section below. I have been Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me, who's going to be doing the outro for this video, is NJ.
What's up, people? And what I can say, people, is this has been a WrestleMania to talk about, so people talk about it. What I'm going to say now, from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, till next time, people, from WrestleMania and from the British Fist, goodbye!